I would be cautious, how you approach to this problem. I think you have to use great sensitivity and balance in a way that we are simply recognizing and reinforcing the existence of diversity in our society.
I think it's very easy to get into conversations where we could quite easily fall on, well, if you say yes to this group, you're going to have to say yes to all groups. And I guess to that I say, well, we do the best we can to support kids. We do the best we can to support the community, and if requests come in, we do our best we can to address them. And I can tell you that the floodgates did not open.
It's very easy in our unique Canadian way, where we are trying to be nice and we keep taking those small steps every time, and after maybe a few years we see that we have come across too much in accommodating. So maybe there has to be some line where we stop accommodating and we say, I think based on a religious requirement, this is the extent that we can go.
I think we should be very careful in this. Diversity should be respected. Some people have this, some people have this, some people have this, like that. They enjoy their diversity. We should have a recognition of our diversity, but it shouldn't be, it should be in the positive manner.
If you make it sort of an open season that, well, we'll have X number of things here, X number of Y number of things for this religion, I'm afraid it will become more divisive rather than bringing in a positive influence in the system. That religions may begin to compare that, well, X religion has a more favoritism or more preferred status than Y religion.
Creed accommodation is important in order to help ensure that all Ontarians, regardless of their creed, have equal access to education and employment in educational contexts. There are several limits. One limit is known as bona fide requirement. Sometimes a rule, requirement, or policy might be justifiable even if it adversely impacts a member of a creed group. For example, it may be a bona fide requirement to be able to work on Sundays at a Sunday school. Organizations also do not have a duty to accommodate creed-based beliefs and practices if it would cause them undue hardship. An organization would need to show in an objective way that the cost of the accommodation, for example, would alter the essential nature of what it does or would substantially affect its viability. Another factor is health and safety. Health and safety concerns will amount to undue hardship if they are shown to be real and significant.
We just don't want the state to have a way of controlling our beliefs or our values or our ways of operating. We want to be free. But I think most people now want that as well. It's not just us.
The concept we hold is that we should be working toward open secularism, which we define as meaning that there's no religion attached to institutions. So buildings don't have, publicly funded buildings don't have religious symbols in them, nor do they have policies that would promote religion. But on the other hand, if someone wants to wear a cross or a Star of David or some other religious symbol, we have no objection to that. That's a statement of personal faith, and they should certainly have the right to do that.
We're not into indoctrination. It's not about one particular faith having primacy over another. It's really about learning about all faiths. If in many respects, oftentimes we talk about the golden rule. What are the common elements across faiths? In many respects, we may be different in terms of our specific belief systems, but what is it that we hold near and dear and common?
Where we do once in a while bump elbows with religion are times when some religious organizations want to put religion into public places. And those are the times that we have to stop and say, sort of time out. That offends us, or that denies us our right to freedom from religion. But those are, it's pretty benign.
On the one hand, secularism is all right because it means that no religion has prominence, which is good. On the other hand, secularism is a problem for the faith communities if it demeans religion. So what we have to do is we have to find a balance where we are secular so that everybody has a right to their own beliefs and can practice their own faith. On the other hand, we can accept secularism as one of the many faith groups at the table, or like a faith group at the table.
Religious or creed-based accommodations that interfere with the rights of others may also be limited. No right is absolute. Every right may be limited in particular circumstances, in particular where it interferes with the rights and freedoms of others. Similarly, there is no hierarchy of rights. No one right will necessarily trump another right.
Are they competing values? Are they competing interests? Or are they truly competing rights? Someone may have some concerns about the content, the curriculum, within a particular subject discipline, human sexuality, for example. And so the person may in fact request an accommodation not to participate in some component of curriculum. And we have that latitude, but oftentimes those requests are not necessarily informed. So what we need to do is that we need to be clear about what the instruction or what the curriculum is actually saying, what it is that we're actually doing so that there's clarity, because the request to accommodate may actually look very different.
The other challenge would be addressing the question of intersectionality. So how does a faith-based identity, how does that look like when you are also bringing in issues and analysis of gender and race and class and citizenship status, all of those things.
Parents that may request that their child receive an accommodation when we're talking about homophobia or harassment or discrimination. The challenge with that is that we as a board also have an obligation to move forward on safe schools policy. And safe schools policy talks about bullying. We recognize that students that identify as gay, transgender, or lesbian are 2/3 more likely to be victimized. So on one hand, we have an obligation to address the barriers that exist for other groups of students, and yet we also have to then honor the request from an accommodation standpoint.
I think probably we all have to go back to the core values, the common denominator in a sense. Civility is important in discussion, the humanity, decency, respect for each other, and we have to carefully scrutinize that only those elements are brought into the system.